On D&D Beyond now, we get a free adventure called Prisoner 13. It's from Keys from the Golden Vault. It's a one-shot for level 4, and this is pretty much for DMs only, so if you're going to play it, I wouldn't watch this. We're just going to walk through what it actually is. So, in a nutshell, if you're about to leave my video, I will tell you exactly what this is. It's basically a prison heisty type game where you're after a key from a prisoner to give to a dwarf, who then says, thanks, do you want a cut of the treasure? But it's really good because it's like infiltrating the prison, not getting caught, getting messages to the prisoner, getting the key, and escaping. So, very Mission Impossible. Sounds fun. Looks really good. Let's get in. On the world of Toril, in the frozen reaches north of the Sword Coast, lies an impenetrable fortress built to house the region's most dangerous criminals. One of the earliest inmates, a dwarf known as Prisoner 13, spent her days in seeming quiet and solitude while secretly pulling the strings of a spy network that spans much of the continent. She holds the key to a treasure she stole from a dwarf clan. In the heist, the characters must infiltrate the prison, retrieve the key from Prisoner 13, found in a tattoo on her hand, and return the key to Varin Axebreaker, the dwarf who hired them. So it's in the Sea of Moving Ice, if you're aware of what that is. Okay, let's look here. Prisoner 13 is a dwarf named Corda Glintstone. Prior to her incarceration years ago, Corda was an ally and agent of Clan Axebreaker, a moderately influential dwarf clan in a stronghold called Gauntlgrim. Corda built a network of informants and guests and agents, ostensibly all to the benefit of Clan Axebreaker. With each success, she paid tattooists to inscribe a memorial of her triumph onto her skin. Using ancient rituals, Corda infused many of these artful etchings with her magic of Gauntlgrim's forges, granting her wondrous gifts. Corda grew too ambitious for her role as an agent, so she devised a plan to take power for herself. Over 5 years, she took careful stock of Clan Axebreaker's wealth and in one fell swoop used her network of lieutenants to steal away most of the clan's gold, leaving only a pittance. The Axebreaker dwarves discovered her almost immediately. They rounded up her agents who either fought to the death or were executed. They captured Corda and interrogated her, but she never revealed the location of the stolen fortune, even under magical compulsion. The Axebreaker dwarves used their influence to have her sentenced to life in prison at Revel's End. There, Clan Axebreaker was hopeful Corda would eventually break and reveal the location of the stolen wealth. This played right into Corda's hands, since she made copious enemies who can't move against her while she's incarcerated. Corda, now known as Prisoner 13, prepared for her imprisonment by laying the groundwork for a new spy and criminal network which cost her much of her stolen fortune. She now runs her operations from the prison. Using her magical tattoos, she telepathically coordinates agents throughout Faerun and beyond, none of whom know the identity of their employer. As for what remains of the stolen Axebreaker wealth, it rests in an unmarked vault in the depths of Gauntlgrim, sealed by a magical lock that only the runic sequence tattooed on Corda's right hand can open. There's a little bit about how the adventurers get into it, but this book seems to come with a little music box, and I presume that's the Golden Vault. You put a key in it and you get the Mission Impossible secret message kind of thing. So you pop in the mission key, the music box lid pops open. Greetings, operatives. We have discovered the location of a great dwarven treasure, but only a prisoner incarcerated within the prison Revel's End knows how to access the vault. This quest, should you choose to undertake it, requires you travel to the prison, infiltrate it, and learn how to access the treasure from the prisoner. Return this information to the dwarf known as Varin Axebreaker, who will brief you on the details of this mission. Good luck, operatives. And you close the music box and the key vanishes. Now Varin is also from the clan, obviously. He contacts the characters and he looks like this. Varin's braided hair and beard are black with streaks of grey. He wears a loose, comfortable robe over a steel breastplate. Whether Varin approaches the characters or invites them in or whatever, he says this. Thank you for hearing me out. My name is Varin Axebreaker and I have a proposition for you. My clan has located wealth stolen from us many years ago, but it's sealed in a vault that's magically locked. If you can recover the key, whatever it is, You'll gain the undying gratitude of Clan Axebreaker. I'll cut you in for a percentage of the recovered treasure, of course. The catch here is that the person who knows how to open the vault is rotting away in prison at Revel's End. She's proved uncooperative with my people in the past, but I recently discovered the vault where she hid what she stole from us. I need you to question her and learn how to open the vault. How you do that is up to you. If you need to spring her from prison in exchange for this information, please do so. I can provide you with a way in, as well as a layout of Revel's End and a few useful tricks. So this is a pretty cool bit coming right up. Varin retrieves a faceted sapphire the size of a small orange and places it on the table. He waves his hand over the gem and a glowing blue image of a building floor plan appears in the air above it. He taps the gem and the whole image vanishes. The sapphire splits into sections and he passes one fragment to each of the players. The fragment grows warm in your hand, melts, then vanishes, leaving a warm, tingling sensation behind. Think about the map of Revel's End and you'll be able to see it. Now this is essentially a cool hologram style map. It is, if you remember from the photo from the beginning, it's up a cliff face. There's an elevator, as you can see here, and various sections. This is an anti-magic field around the cells. This is the actual protagonist's cell. In the middle is a huge surveillance tower, and that surveillance tower is sectioned here. There's a player map. So, entering the prison staff rotate out periodically. Varin knows the schedule of the next rotation, and his agents are standing by to capture a number of guards and cooks to swap out for the characters. Prisoner 13 was a trusted agent. She betrayed them, stole its fortune. Varin reluctantly says that her name was Corda Glintstone, but you shouldn't reveal that in the prison because no one is meant to know the real names. So yeah, the tattoo is the key. She will probably want to exchange the key for her freedom. See how that plays out or how you want to do it. Visitors can request meetings with prisoners, but those meetings are always supervised by the warden. So the best chance of talking to Prisoner 13 is to get her on her cleaning duties or cooking or whatever, or exercise. When prisoners are injured or fall ill, they are taken to the prison hospital. Later on, there's poison being able to be concocted that you could give her, have her go to the hospital, talk to her that way. So there's a prisoner high alert procedure, which we'll get to, and there's a guardian in the armoury, but Varian doesn't know the details. There are security hatches, all with arcane lock in this building. The reward we get from this treasure in Galton Grin, it suggests that you promise 2% of what they recover, and you can haggle to get 3, but that's probably going to go out the window. The characters will be like, well, we're doing all the work, I want half of it. You just know how that's going to go. Escape route. Basically, Varin will have a small ship within sight of the prison at a safe distance, and when you come out and shine this light from the dock, it'll come over and pick you up. If you're posing as a guard, you wear splint armour. If you're kitchen staff, simple uniforms, but you can wear light armour underneath those uniforms. If you're a small character, you can stow away in a crate. Obviously, you run the risk of different players going to different parts of the prison, decide whether that's going to be too much for you. So Bethra, another dwarf, is one of Varin's agents, and they meet the character when they arrive in Luskan, which is up near the Sea of Moving Ice. She provides the uniforms for their chosen cover and directs them to report to a ship called the Jolly Pelican the following dawn. The ship regularly delivers a fresh rotation of prison staff and returns the relieved shift to the Sword Coast. It takes 3 days under normal condition. Waive that if you want, or summarise it, or play out however you decide. 25 guards, 6 cooks are bound for the prison. If the characters express concern over the fate of staff they're replacing, Bethra assures them that none of these people were killed, and they'll be released when the job is over. Players can just make up their identities, their fake IDs. Revel's End is a panopticon. This is what that means. A prison configured in such a way that the activities of the prisoners can be closely monitored from a central location. Situated on the frigid, misty coast of Sea of Moving Ice, the prison is a single-storey structure topped with battlements. Rising from the core of the panopticon is a tower that holds the prison's administrative offices and guard barracks. Both the prison and the tower are carved from a tall blade-shaped rock that rises high above the sea cliffs. This rock is called the Windbreak, shields the tower against the brutal winds that sweep down from the nearby glacier. One can approach Revel's End by land, sea or air. For ships, there's an elevator. There's a mooring dock at the top of the tower, allowing prisoners to be delivered by airship also. Okay, to summarise this next bit, the Lord's Alliance, Google it if you don't know, it's a government almost, made up of different sections, 10 ambassadors, and 3 of which are in this prison. They don't all gather here at once, but they do visit. As I say, there are 3. Whether you include them, it's really up to you. We'll cover who they are later. So to summarise the doors and the hatches, each door and a rooftop hatch is made of reinforced iron held shut by an arcane lock spell. Prison personnel can open these doors just fine. A locked door or hatch is too strong to be shouldered or kicked open, but it can be destroyed if it takes enough damage. It's freezing outside, and yet inside is magically heated. There are continual flames in wall sconces. In certain rooms, you can actually turn them down by saying lights, and they go down to dim, like dimmers. There are 75 prison guards who, 2/3 of which will be in the rest room, in the garrison, at any given time. While on duty, the other third, each guard wears a tunic that bears the Lord's Alliance emblem, a gold crown on a red field. So the prisoners don't have names, they have numbers. And the numbers do not get repeated, so there'll only ever be one prisoner 1 and only ever one prisoner 1,000. They just keep adding numbers. It goes into that later. The simple protocol of having a number keeps prisoners on an equal footing. Each inmate wears a uniform that consists of a hoodless robe without pockets, leather slippers without laces and undergarments. While outside of their cells, this is important, prisoners wear manacles on wrists and ankles and can only walk at 10 feet speed. Okay, to start off this section of approaching the prison, perched on a high cliff overlooking the sea of moving ice is a bleak stone fortress carved from a gigantic blade-shaped rock. A central tower looms over the rest of the fortress and light leaks from its arrow slits. 4 smaller towers rise from the outermost corners of the fortress and guards can be seen atop them. There are guards on watch on top of the towers, 3 guards on each. If the guards on the tower hear something to investigate, 1 guard descends, leaving the rest at the posts. So if you're going in as a guard or a cook, you have to go in the front door. You go up the elevator. Characters are then taken to the barracks if they're posing as guards, where they meet Eula Dageria, a no-nonsense stickler for the prison's rules. Characters posing as cooks go to the kitchen, where they report to Chef Tiny Tulane, a hulking, jovial man who carries a saucepan instead of a heavy crossbow. And small stowaway characters go to the storeroom or the kitchen's cold room or the pantry in their boxes. So you bang on the door and you're led into a 30-foot long corridor where you're met by 3 guards from R3. These guards insist on confiscating the characters' weapons and storing them in a nearby lockbox. In addition, they search each character for concealed weapons. It's a DC 13 Dex sleight of hand check. If there are any animals involved, they go to a special room, R5. Animals are not allowed in the prison. Then you go off to R12, it's a meeting room where you must wait for the warden, to greet them. You can sneak into the main prison with a DC 13 stealth. You can also unpick the weapons box where your things have been put for a DC 16 Thieves' Tools check. If you're caught doing these tasks though, you have to wait for the warden that will throw them out unless they provide a satisfactory reason for their visit and their lying. Alright, so this plays out in suspicion levels 1 to 6. You start off at level 1 under no suspicion. If you're caught using a prisoner's real name while in the guise of a prison staff, or getting caught by a patrol as you sneak around, or casting a spell that has noticeable components or effects that are inside of a guard. If you talk to a prisoner about anything other than prison business, you raise 1 level to level 2 with the table. You can distract guards to get away with things elsewhere. So here are the suspicion levels, and it's all about patrol die. So there's a pair of guard rooms, and they patrol around what's called the hexagon. And there's short checks in the courtyard, and then the armoury, and then they walk around to the opposite guard room. It's all marked on the map. The size of the die is determined by the current suspicion level. On a 1, the characters encounter a patrol. Ask the players how their characters react and give them 1 round of actions. The characters can try to slip away if there is a nearby exit or corner to duck around, making a group dexterity stealth check, or by trying to blend in by making a group charisma deception check. Each check is made on that DC on the current suspicion level. Characters can try deception, intimidation or persuasion depending on their story against that DC level. If they successfully explain themselves, the suspicion level on them goes down by 1. Once the characters encounter a patrol, don't check for another patrol when the characters enter the route until 20 minutes have passed. So here is the DM map, and we're going to go through what all these are. These are the tower, as I said, and I'll overlay the map as I read this to you. R1 is the dock. Ships dock here to offload prisoners and supplies. R2 is the elevator. A sturdy wooden scaffold clings to the 160 foot high cliff separating the prison from the dock. Looming above the scaffold is a wooden crane that is controlled from area R3. The crane raises and lowers an elevator car that has a retractable wooden gate on the side opposite the crane. The elevator car is a hollow wooden cube measuring 10 foot on each side. It takes 1 minute for the car to travel all the way up or down the scaffold. R3, guard rooms. This room contains a table with 4 chairs and a cabinet holding whetstones and other simple supplies for repairing armour and weapons. 3 guards are stationed in each of these 2 rooms. The guards pass the time by playing cards, sharpening their weapons and complaining about the weather. In the north wall of the northern guard room is an iron lever that raises and lowers the elevator in R2. During a patrol, 2 of the guards leave the room to make their rounds for 4 minutes. R4 is the hospital. This chamber contains a dozen simple beds. Cabinets along the north wall hold medical supplies. Right, this is quite juicy. The cabinet holds enough supplies to assemble 20 healer's kits, 5 vials of antitoxin, and other medicines. Some of these substances are poisonous if ingested in the wrong proportion. If you're proficient with alchemy supplies, a poisonous kit, a herbalist kit, or the medicine skill, you can identify the combination that would make a swallowed poison. A creature that ingests this poison can make a DC 13 con save. On a fail, you take 3d6 poison and become poisoned for an hour. On a save, you take half of that, but you're not poisoned. You basically get stomach cramps if you succeed, until you finish a short rest, or drink a vial of antitoxin. So, a prisoner suffering these cramps are brought by the guards to the hospital to be examined and treated. Characters disguised as guards can volunteer or be assigned to that duty. R5 is the stables. Visitors who bring mounts, sled dogs, pack animals or pets can keep their animals here. The prison doesn't supply food for the animals, however. R6 Mess Hall. Prison personnel dine here. Tables and benches fill the room, and dishes are dulled, and dulled cutlery are stored in cabinets along the south wall. The mess hall serves breakfast, lunch and dinner. The characters can meet here without arousing any suspicion. Okay, R7 is the Councillors' Quarters, the Lord's Alliance we spoke about. They're actually called the Absolution Council here, and they can sleep here. So there are plenty of rooms, but 3 are taken by Councillor Voss Anderton from Neverwinter, Councillor Jill Torbo from Baldur's Gate, Councillor Kriv Nerixius from Daggerford. Do with those what you will. R8 is kitchen and side rooms. 6 cooks take shifts here, working in pairs to produce meals for the prisoners and the staff. The kitchen contains everything one would expect to see, as well as an iron stove and a pump that draws water from a magically heated cistern on the roof. As I say, there's continual flame spells which can be controlled using the lights command word. There's a middle side room that's not heated because it's a cold storage area, and there's a small side room that's just a pantry. R9 guard towers. Each of these 4 triangular towers is 2 stories tall. A tower's interior chamber is empty except for a wooden ladder that climbs to a hatch with an arcane lock. This hatch leads to the tower's flat rooftop, which is lined with battlements. 3 Lord's Alliance guards in cold weather clothing are stationed on the roof of each tower. Use the veteran stats. The armoury. This room contains wooden racks and chests filled with weaponry. Floating in the middle of the room is a spherical creature with a large central eye and 4 writhing eye stalks. It is only a spectator. The spectator knows every member of the prison staff, and so if your players go in there, there's a fight on, and an alarm will be raised. However, in here are 20 halberds, 15 long swords, 15 short swords, 10 pikes, 10 heavy crossbows, 5 light crossbows, hundreds of crossbow bolts. A wooden ladder leads to an iron hatch in the ceiling, arcane locked, but you can get onto the roof. R11, courtyard. The courtyard is paved with flagstones with snow on. When the weather allows, prisoners are brought here for fresh air and exercise. They're watched very closely by guards on the ground as well as on the tower. Characters have to speak in a whisper, so they can't be heard by the guards. R12, the meeting room. This room holds a large rectangular table and a single chair on one long side, and 3 similar chairs on the opposite side. The room is used for meetings with prisoners or the warden. Hatch in the ceiling, arcane locked. R13, storeroom, supplies, crates that are stockpiled enough to be able to stay here for 6 months. R14, toilets. 12, waste buckets, emptied by prisoners who are manacled, and they carry them outside and pour them over the edge. R15, hexagon. This corridor allows guards and visitors to access the outermost rooms of the prison while avoiding the panopticon and its prison cells. The guards refer to this corridor as the hexagon because of its shape. Panopticon. This hexagonal chamber is a large open space at the centre of the prison. Cells line the chamber walls, and a smaller hexagonal room occupies the centre of the space. Continual flame spells that light this area can be dimmed from the surveillance hub R18. The hall is dimly lit at night. R17, the cells. Each cell is enclosed by formidable steel bars. Bolted to the back wall are iron bunk beds, each with a thin mattress. A waste bucket sits near the beds. The prisoners are kept in these unlit cells, with a bit of a glow from R16, behind barred gates that can be opened from R18 only. The gates are too secure to be forced open using brute strength or weapons, or magical attempts to open them are thwarted by the permanent anti-magic fields. Each field encompasses one cell and its gate. Spells and other magical effects, except those created by an artifact or a deity, are suppressed in an anti-magic field and can't protrude into it. While an effect is suppressed, it doesn't function, but the time it spends suppressed counts against its duration. Bolted to the wall of each cell is a bunk bed. Prisoners take their meals in their cells. So there's 24 cells and they can hold 2 prisoners. You can roll to see how many prisoners are there, and then there is a helpful list of prisoners to interact with just to flavour it out. Here's a picture of the enigmatic Prisoner 13. R18, the surveillance hub. This hexagonal room is the base of the prison's central tower. A spiral staircase rises to the tower's upper levels. Several guards watch through arrow slits observing the cells, while one sits at a metal desk and console with a myriad of switches and dials, and a brass tube with a funnel-like flare. The stairs lead to R19 through R23. 7 guards, veterans, are stationed in the surveillance hub. One sits at a console south of the staircase. The other guards watch the prisoners through 4-foot-tall, 1-foot-wide arrow slits in the walls. Hanging on the walls between the arrow slits are 50 sets of iron manacles used to bind prisoners' wrists and ankles. The console is a magical device that resembles a desk with a slanted top. It is bolted to the floor. It is large, AC 15, 18 hit points. The console is disabled if reduced to 0 hit points. 24 switches on the console opens and close the gates of the prison cells. A master switch does them all at once. A brass dial on the console controls the light levels. In R16, there's a loudspeaker. It resembles the bell of a trumpet and it broadcasts throughout the prison. R19. A door in the spiral staircase leads into a large room filled with wooden bunk beds. There are arrow slits in the northwest and south walls. Foot lockers and armour racks accompany each bed. The spiral stairs continue up past the door. When the prison isn't on high alert, 50 guards sleep in the bunks. The guards keep their armour and weapons within easy reach. The belongings are tucked under their bed in foot lockers. The guards need 10 minutes to put on their armour. If the prison is on high alert, the guards take their time to put on their armour before making their way down to R18. R20, the Hall of Absolution. This room is 120 feet above the prison roof. A spiral staircase connects the room to the other levels of the tower. Narrow windows line the outer walls. A long, slightly curved table with 11 chairs takes up much of this room. The middle chair has no special adornments, while the others have banners hanging over their high backs, each one emblazoned with the crest of the Lord's Alliance members. Banners hanging on the walls display the Alliance's emblem, a golden crown on a red field. So, Absolution Council meetings. The members of the council gather here to weigh the merits of releasing prisoners whom one or more council members have recommended for parole. No prisoner can receive such consideration more than once a year. Prisoners up for parole are brought to this room in manacles and given a chance to swear the council members before votes are cast. The warden always attends and sits in the middle chair and casts the tie-break if necessary. R21. The warden's quarters. The arcane lock on this door can only be opened by the warden. Beyond the door is a comfortable bedchamber lit once again by a continual flame spell which can be dimmed with the word Vaudra. Prison warden. The calm and unflappable warden is Marta Marthanis, a lawful good human mage who speaks common, draconic, dwarfish and orc. She wears a red robe with gold trim and keeps a ring with 7 tiny keys hanging from it in one pocket. One key unlocks the warden's chest. The others unlock the desk drawer and the cabinets in the warden's office. Warden Marthanis is secretly a member of the Harpers, a faction that works behind the scenes to keep power out of the hands of evildoers. That is a secret to everybody. So Marthanis' possession, unlike her membership, she hasn't concealed the fact that she is periodically possessed. Lodged inside her is the spirit of a deceased adventuring companion, that's cool, a shield dwarf fighter named Vlax Brawnanvil. The spirit of Vlax takes control of Marthanis once or twice a day, each time for an hour or two, though never while she's performing important duties, such as supervising prisoner meetings with visitors. While under Vlax's control, the warden can't cast prepared spells or use the command word for high alert, speaks only dwarfish, and occasionally indulges Vlax's vice for ale and spirits. What were they thinking when they designed that? Warden Marthanis knows how to rid herself of Vlax's spirit. She must visit the crypts, the Brawnanvil crypts in Gauntlgrim, a dwarven fortress under Mount Hottenau, near Neverwinter, where the spirit of Vlax's kin can persuade Vlax to join them in the afterlife. The warden refuses to make the journey. This is absolutely superfluous to anything that's going on. Treasure. Among the chamber's furnishings is a locked wooden chest, for which the warden carries the only key. It's a DC 20 Thieves' Tools chest. The chest has a set of calligrapher's supplies, a sack containing 750 gold pieces, a silver cloakpin, which is a symbol of the Harpers, a tiny harp nestled between the horns of a crescent moon, and it also has something worth finding, a wand of binding. R22. The office. A heavy desk stands in the middle of the room with parchment, quills and ink at the ready. 5 heavy wood cabinets line the east wall. Prison records are stored here in the locked cabinets. The cabinets also contain ship cargo manifests and records of past deliveries, as well as prisoner transfer orders and a ledger documenting the names, crimes, sentences of every prisoner who has been incarcerated at the prison. The records include death certificate. What? Who gives a goddamn? A desk in the middle of the room has 10 financial ledgers packed inside a locked side drawer. I absolutely couldn't care less. R23, tower roof. This flat rooftop is 140 foot above the prison roof and 300 feet above sea level. 3 6-foot high walls to the north, south-west and south-east provide limited cover, but much of the rooftop is exposed to the elements. A wooden drawbridge can be lowered on one side to create an airship dock. No guards are stationed here. If the guards in the prison watchtower see an airship or an airborne threat, they alert the rest of the prison. The warden then dons cold weather clothing and heads to the roof to greet the airship or to deal with the threat. Here we go, Prisoner 13. This tightly muscled dwarven woman keeps her red hair cut short. Her bronze skin is covered in tattoos that stretch from her collarbone to her ankles. She surveys you with unimpressed eyes. She's a cunning schemer, ruthless, patient. She listens and watches, absorbing every detail she can, shares as little as she can get away with. She's comfortable with her lot in life, enjoying the anonymity and ironic protection the prison of Revel's End like a warm blanket on a winter night. While confined to her anti-magic cell, she's cautious since she can't rely on her magic tattoos to defend herself. Outside the cell, she grows overly confident and even banters if she's able to do so without being caught by guards. In battle, she poses a potent threat, creating blasts of flame and striking with magical force in both melee and ranged combat. She spends her time contemplating the web of schemes she learns through the ears, eyes and hands of her agents outside the prison. While outside her cell doing chores, she contacts her agents for updates and makes arrangements that keep her network running. Alright, she has this stat block. Armor class 17, average 102 hit points, resists poison, immune to psychic damage. So when she's in her cell and the anti-magic field is kicking in, her AC becomes 13. She loses her immunity to psychic damage and the charmed condition, and her tattooed strike becomes a melee attack. So she's got mind-link tattoos, can't be targeted by divination spells, can't have her thoughts read. She makes 2 strike attacks. Firestorm tattoo, recharge 5/6. 20-foot radius sphere centered on her. It's a dex save of 15. 3d8 fire damage and is knocked prone. There's more about her, but I really don't think it's necessary. It has examples here of how she would answer if asked certain things like trading for the key or asked if she wants to be set free. Conclusion. When the characters deliver the key, Varen's joy and relief crack his usually reserved exterior. He sends his agents to open the vault and reveal the treasure. The characters don't go. So there's an amount for if they got 2%, an amount if they got 3% if they haggled. There is also the chance for the characters to pick 3 magic items or 4 if they negotiate higher. And that is pretty much it. I think that's good. And I would like to look at the other heist ones, but I'm not really in a position to buy it right now. I hope that helped in some way. I actually recorded it twice because I recorded the first time without screen recording D&D Beyond, so my voice is a bit croaky. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.